Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome this morning as we kick off the second day of the Mental Health Festival Asia 2022. My name is Linda. I'll be your MC this morning. And if you haven't had a chance to hear more about intellect, we have a quick video here for you just before we kick off with the first session of the day. Let's take a look.
Ever feel like the modern workplace can be an emotional minefield? The average human deals with 27 distinct emotions every day. Multiply that by the number of people you're responsible for. It's never easy managing humans. Keeping employee morale and productivity rates high requires a huge amount of intellect. Well, we're Intellect, and we're on a mission to boost your employees' mental well-being and resilience. Notice your fellow colleagues looking down? The care they need is just a touch away. Our end-to-end well-being support ensures that they get through even the toughest of storms. We marry technology with a human touch, ensuring that your employees are always in safe hands. John from sales has his own set of problems, and Kelly from accounting alike. No two individuals are the same, and Intellect understands that. With our clinically validated, evidence-based approach, we personalize the right care your employees need anytime, anywhere, 24/7, even while away on holiday. Still got tons of stress balls laying around the office? It's time for you to lead the charge in the pursuit of better employee well-being. Squeezing that stress ball may not help your employees reach their goals, but a one-to-one behavioral health coaching with our certified practitioners across 20 countries will. Culturally diverse workforce, you say? We're available in over 14 different languages. We've reduced 93% of users' anxiety levels and increased 76% of our users' ability to cope with life challenges. Your employees will never be alone with Intellect. It's okay to reach out. And everyone, not only the clinically distressed, deserves mental health care. It's time to be proactive. It's time for a resilient workforce. It's time for Intellect, the only employee well-being solution you'll ever need.
Thank you so much. Okay, we are opening this second day of the Mental Health Festival with an exciting lineup of speakers and events. This first topic is a really, really interesting one. It's tackling mental health at the community level. Do we have adequate support systems? Before we dive in, on the next slide, I just want to say a few words because as we engage in a lot of thoughtful dialogue around these really, really important issues, some content might be emotionally sensitive. So if at any point in time you feel uncomfortable with any of the topics being discussed, please reach out to one of these local mental health supports at the link that we have shown right here. Okay, so what inspired today's session? A big leap. The Ministry of Culture, Community and Youth has announced the launch of Wellbeing Circles in the community in 2022. So what does this actually mean for Heartlanders? Join our panel of local community leaders as we unpack their experiences of challenging the norm and being at the forefront of leading the change. Today, we have 3 community leaders who actively champion the mental well-being and encourage the public to take care of their mental health. We're really excited to have all of these people here today. Let's start with our first speaker, Portia. Portia is the co-founder and executive director of Silver Ribbon Singapore, a nonprofit organization with a mission to dispel mental health stigma and discrimination, encourage early help, and to facilitate the integration of people with mental illness within the society. Portia has received multiple awards, having contributed to mental health promotion and advocacy in Singapore. Nice to have you here. Next, we'll have Tony. Tony is a director of youth work at Campus Impact and has organized training programs and workshops for audiences ranging from educators to clinical staff for over 15 years. He has also dedicated a majority of his career to cultivating the youth and community. At a systemic level, he works with parents and caregivers and shares strategies on cultivating sound mental and emotional health. Thank you so much for joining us today. We also have Simon. Simon is the co-founder of Happiness Initiative, which translates its research into programs and products to fuel the community of well-being advocates to create a positive impact in Singapore and beyond. As such, he has been applying the science of positive psychology to help schools, organizations, and individuals thrive and flourish. Last but not least, today's moderator of the session is Sha-En, the founder of Happiness Scientist. She specializes in providing bespoke trainings to organizations, schools, and individuals using the science of positive psychology. She is also a TEDx speaker and best-selling author. Before I hand over to you, Shan, there's one more thing I want to mention to our audience. While you're watching here today, we've got quite a few people joining us. You have 3 ways to interact with our speakers. So number 1, you can use the reactions below to send a quick instant reaction about what is said, maybe a thumbs up or a heart or something. We would also encourage you to jot down any thoughts or comments in the comment section to your right. And lastly, most importantly, please use the Q&A section on your right as well throughout the session. So just jot down any questions that you might have that you want to ask our speakers, and then they will answer those questions in the Q&A section. That's all from my side. Over to you, Shayan.
Thank you so much, Linda, and welcome everybody. I'm super excited to be here. As Linda has mentioned, my name is Shayan, and I'm the founder of Happiness Scientist, and I'm going to be moderating the session. We are here today with an amazing panel of people who have already been introduced: Portia, Tony, and Simon. You have heard a little bit about their background, the amazing work that they're doing, and it all sounds very serious. But before we get into the serious discussion, I thought we'd begin with something more lighthearted and get all the speakers, all the panelists to introduce themselves. And the question is, what do you do to unwind after a long day? Maybe we'll begin with Portia.
Well, thank you, Shan, for your question. And hello, everyone, including all the speakers. Glad to meet up with all of you. And thank you for sparing your time to join us at this session. So for me, mental health is never a job to me. So it's quite a tough question, Shannon, when you're asking me that, because I'll be attending events or speaking at talks and handling crises, whether during or after office hour. Thank you, Shannon.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
How about Tony?
Good morning. I was just reflecting on what Portia was saying. Really appreciate the work that she does. My self-care and how I take care of myself in doing all this work is really to spend time outdoors with my family. So I have a 13 and an 8-year-old. So weekends when I can, and if I'm not working or I'm not teaching, then I'll be out there, spending outdoors, getting into the flora and fauna, having them chill and slow down the pace for a bit.
Yeah. I guess sometimes the pace of our life goes so quickly, right, that we need to be deliberate in slowing down the pace.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony. Over to you, Simon.
Hi everyone, I'm Simon from Happiness Initiative. To unwind, I have a glass of wine and I walk my dog Rico. Yeah.
Oh, so nice. Wine plus dog walking. I think that certainly sounds like an ideal way to end the day. So thank you so much, speakers, for obliging and participating in my unexpected question. All right, so on to the discussion proper, right? I mean, today's topic, tackling mental health at the community level. Each of you are doing really important work. And do we actually have adequate support systems? So perhaps to begin our discussion, we want to ask this question, who do you think are the key stakeholders driving the mental health agenda, and what kind of crucial roles do you think they play? And I'll leave it to you to see who wants to answer first.
Maybe I can begin because I have. I'm so excited about the whole list of questions. And I make sure, I give credit to everyone who have been working really hard at the ground. So Shannon, my answer to your question is I love this question very much because whenever something happen, everybody will start pointing finger. No, there's a psychiatrist problem, there's a government issue, and there's the SSA social service issue. So the thing is it'd be nice if let's say we are able to acknowledge that mental health is everyone's business. So everyone playing a role. Like for example, the government. I say that we are quite blessed in Singapore that to begin, we receive very good support from President Halimah Yacob. And when she took out the presidency, you will see that President Challenge was focusing on mental health during the first 3 years. And this is very, very encouraging. And then quite a number of ministers and members of parliament, like Minister Sun Shelin was there yesterday at this event. And like Member of Parliament, Ms. Nadia, Mr. Xiak Ping, and Mayor Fahmi has been like supporting a list of mental health events. And it means a lot when the government is like lending their support and discussing about mental health issue at the parliament meeting. And secondly, of course, like the community plays a very important role as well. The basic is just be kind, even if they say that, hey, Posh, I'm not a professional. How can I help? Not just be kind and try not to record the behavior of persons with mental health issue who are relapsing and post it on social media and shame them. That's the basic thing that they can do. That's one of my suggestions. And for media, it's about working closely with the stakeholders and understand what is happening at the ground, and try not to report like cases like offender with depression or mental disorder when as they are not doing that with like showcasing their physical illness. Why are they indicating their mental health condition? And last but not least, of course, advocacy or the advocates and agency try not to include like event flyers with negative images like crouching at one corner or covering their face will portray a very negative image of persons with mental health issue. Thank you so much, Shannon.
And if I may add, Sharon, to what Posh was relating, I will go with the domain of children, youth, and families. That's my domain that I work with most frequently. In the ecosystem in that manner that I'm most familiar with, right? I would think that one of the crucial key stakeholders will be, allow for say I mentioned, right, the employers, how the employing systems would have it be a little more safer in some of these details that needs to take care when they're doing hiring. Therefore, this is to intend to lower the stigma of whether mental health could be a criteria for them to be employed in a certain work. Now, then how does it relate to family and children? Because in the employment domain, right, that's where most of the parents are, and therefore that becomes one of the narratives that they might have in assuming how mental health could be then deemed as safe to be announced or to be even set up. So if let's say that safety is being brought at the adult level, right, then with that knowledge, for the children then to be able to articulate this to the parents could be a lot easier. Right now, I'm also sensing that some of the younger folks, they might not be so willing to seek help because the adults around them might not be so accommodating to these disclosures. Yeah, so the key stakeholders then will be from, if I look at the top-down approach, right, where the adults get awareness, then the children gets to be accepted, and then that's where the education gets in these two folds. That's what I see.
Right. Yeah, great. Thank you.
And if
Simon, anything to add in terms of
yeah.
the work? Yeah.
Okay, so my turn to the question, right? I hope I could answer it well, because my Wi-Fi is really pretty erratic. I'm not in Singapore now. Okay, fingers crossed. Okay, so I think the key stakeholders are self, family, school or workplace, people in school or workplace, and the community. So I see these as four important stakeholders, and the government being, and I see the government role, right, as bringing all these different stakeholders together and see the inter school/workplace and the community.
Oops.
Okay.
Simon, are you still there?
It's in a nice place, therefore the network is not working.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I will try to keep my answer short. Did it
Sure.
get through?
We missed out on the last part. You were talking
Yeah.
about self, school, workplace, community, and the role
Yeah.
of the government.
Yeah. So I think the role of government is to be able to draw to see the interconnected relationship between all these stakeholders and to be able to support them.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that everybody has mentioned several key stakeholders, and I think at the end of the day, we see some commonality in the answers, right? There's the individual who is like ourselves and the people that we around us, and then you talk about the community. We also talk about different domains, like Tony talked about schools, so did Simon. Portia talked about workplace, and then of course we have government in terms of offering support and resources. So there was something interesting that you raised, Portia, in terms of advocacy. Not everybody knows how to respond to someone who is experiencing a mental illness. Maybe you could share with us what could be some helpful ways in which we could respond when we do see someone struggling, or if a close family member does come to us. What can we say? How can we respond?
Sharon, about this question on how to respond. First of all, we have to be mindful. Are they ready to receive help? Are they ready to speak up? Well, at times, especially during workshops, a lot of people start asking, I know that I have a friend who is in need of help. I think she's in need of help. I think she's relapsing. But how to respond? Are they ready yet? Give them some time. I always talk about time. Give them time to decide what they really want. Space to breathe, options to choose from, rather than most of the time traditionally in Singapore we talk so much about, okay, you got to go to IMH, Institute of Mental Health, but are we giving enough of options for them to pick? Are they comfortable to seek help from Institute of Mental Health? So this is the first step. Yeah. And next, to be calm, stay calm. If not, if you're not staying calm, you'll make the person more, experience a higher level of anxiety. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like a very warm and calm and human-centered response,
Yep.
making no judgments and no assumptions, but actually just checking in with them first.
Yep.
Right, thanks. So I wanted to also ask Tony, right, in a recent national study, it was found that 1 in 3 youths in Singapore, I think this came out in May, has reported internalizing mental health symptoms. And you mentioned the family as a key stakeholder, the government, the school. Maybe could you comment on, like, what do you think are some common causes you've seen, or what contributes to this this finding, you think?
I think one of the main ones would be this morning how difficult a math paper would be in the PSLE exam, isn't it? Yeah,
Right.
math paper 1, paper 2 last year, it has created some of the narratives that the parents are having towards how the children should be responding to such difficult questions. So, exam stress, expectation from the adults around them, whether is it school adults, family adults, mentors, counselors, like what Portia was saying, right? So, if a child were to articulate that I need help, would the first response from the clinician say, "Hey, let's go to a hospital, let's go A&E." So it's almost like continuum of, right, I need help. Then suddenly it went from I need help to let's get you treated. The continuums of care seems to be not so attuned to the child's needs. So and that could be one of the reasons also why they are in that study, right? They're shown that the most common one are loneliness and sadness, anxiety. 1 in 3 of the youths this with the part of the group between 14 and 16. And that group, right, they are also into the realm or where they are also sometimes caregiving or providing mental health care to others, family and peers. And yes, probably there are refreshed character and citizenship education already done in the schools itself to provide some mental health education to the students. At the same time, we wonder how ready are some of these young people being prepped for if, example, the family might need some mental health care. So some of them whom I see in my session, they ask me, Mr. Tony, if let's say my parents and my mom were not feeling so good, they are feeling slightly depressive, where should I go to? How should I provide help? My response to them is, you're not responsible for that help. Let your adult come in and help in that sense. So some of the youth are taking a lot of this responsibility on themselves.
Yeah,
And
bearing personal responsibility for
yeah,
themselves, and they are not even adults yet,
that's
so they
right.
must be feeling a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and if I could add one more thing, Sharon, is that a lot of it was also becoming more aware because of the other social media influence and also exposure. So they begin to have a lot more knowledge, right? With no more knowledge, they begin to think that maybe this is something I could do, because then innately they are caring in the youth part of the work, right? At the same time, when the care begins to a point where it takes away some of their own capability, right? It goes on a stress mode. Yeah,
Right.
and then that whole caregiving reverse. Then the youth themselves need care more than the other person who needed it.
Right. I think these are really important points, and I'm hearing a thread as well in terms of continuum of care from what Portia said, and also readiness. Portia mentioned about the person's readiness to seek help, but I'm also hearing here that in our youth, maybe it's reversed. The youth are exposed to this on social media, and they want to talk about it, this generation. And in fact, they are pretty comfortable wanting to talk about it. But are the adults ready? The adults in their life ready to know how to respond in a way that is nurturing and supportive.
Mm.
Yeah, and also, yeah, I mean, great points raised. Maybe I'll turn it to Simon. Simon did mention his Wi-Fi is erratic, but Simon, if you can hear us, I mean, you
Yeah,
have working on these well-being circles, right?
Yeah.
And based on what Pasha and Tony have said, do you see some of these similar trends? What are some interesting points that are coming up from your discussions with regards to community mental health?
Yeah. So just let me know if you all cannot hear me, okay? So it's pretty erratic. So I think, yes, it's very common when we work with a community. The only difference is because we do not focus on mental health issues. Primarily, right, the well-being circles is to build mental well-being. So when a participant tells us that they have a mental health issue, we usually recommend them, refer them to maybe Posh or refer them to Tony, right? So to their organization. So
Right.
but yet, these are common trends. But we also see that beside, while people are being treated for their mental health condition, building mental well-being could actually augment their recovery process. Could also augment their sense of purpose, so they get greater sense of purpose in the work that they do. So that's what we do at Wellbeing Circus, and I will maybe share more with everyone the link. You can find out more. Um, so this topic, I think mental health, right? When we talk about mental health, there are two parts to it. One is maybe tackling mental health conditions. The other part is to build mental well-being, and that's what Wellbeing Circles have been doing. Yeah.
Right. So I guess the distinction between mental health and building mental well-being is
Yes.
important for our audience to know. Perhaps what we can do is to like, we have been talking a lot about what the stakeholders look like. And what do you think, is if we think about the big picture in terms of Singapore being a happy nation, and the question is, do we have adequate support systems? That's the question I'd like for the speakers to answer next. Because it seems like there's quite a lot of different parties playing different roles. And perhaps one of the challenges is bring them all together in a unified front. So is it adequate? Anyone can start first.
I was about to respond to William's question on the chat, if you don't mind, Sharon, if it is
Yeah,
possible.
sure.
Yeah, so it's like the question about, so he was describing what I was saying, having young persons going way beyond the responsibility, and how do we moderate the extent of care. I would think probably two elements: having awareness of accessibility of care and where they are, and whether they can access and whether they're available. I think with that, if we were to assume that these two information is given to young ones, and the few persons that I speak to in my session who actually needed some consult on how to protect their family members from some of these conditions, right? They really took took that consult and they proceed to their referral to those services. What they did not know was that they could do that services. They thought that only an adult could do a referral. At the point of time when I saw them. So, of course, like what Portia was saying, some of them probably they were not of age, and then they were saying that, hey, I thought these are things that adults must do, and I can't because my parents have always been telling me that when they do anything, I need to have permission. But right now, these are parents who needed that support in that sense. So with the awareness, then the external care seems to be a bit more easier for them to manage in that sense. I hope that answers the question, William.
Yeah, so awareness, I'm hearing accessibility, right? Oh, thank you, William, for taking notes. Fantastic. And my job as a moderator is to make it.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yeah, but Portia, any thoughts about, adequate support systems? What does adequate actually mean? And how are we doing as a nation?
Actually, it's very subjective, right? It also depends on the clients, the target audience. Yeah. So and the issues, what are we talking about? Are we talking about advocacy? We're talking about treatment, rehab. So there's so many areas that we can talk about. But if let's say I'm communicating with friends from other parts of the world, I see that we are quite blessed in a way that the local government is recognizing and acknowledging that mental health is very important in Singapore. And that's why, I'm so happy to share. I've never seen so much of media coverage, during the pandemic.
Right.
During the past, you don't see that. And you see a lot of coverage. And what's so nice is that if you could recall in January 2020, there were two announcements. One is on decriminalization of suicide. Another one is removal of mental health query from the job application. So of course, it's never enough, but we are on our way, moving on together. So collaborative effort is very important. It's only possible if, let's say, all of us put aside our differences and work together. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Tony, thoughts on that? Do we have adequate support systems?
It's a difficult question, Cheyenne. Adequate support systems are again subjective. To a person who have not received enough care is not enough, and also depending on resources. So I think, I would think that adequate. The thing is that it's not a linear response. Adequacy comes with a systemic awareness. If I speak from my angle of a community help, a community developer, a community's worker, right? Am I having enough information for this particular person who needed help? Do I have enough information for me to put this person in places where he or she can receive help? So that's from my angle, and from that person's angle, from the person who needed help angle, where can I get help from? So it's a very systemic support in that sense. I would think that it would help because we have seen the different community, ministry, governmental, schools, and whatnot coming together. But are these systems speaking in the same lingo, working in the same angle? The part I'm not sure. And this is the thing that probably could be done in different manners, could be done at a certain angle where the person who needed help can use it as a way of getting help easier or more readily. Yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah, so it sounds like collaboration is important. At the same time, there need to be some basic set of resources that everybody can access. But of course, as individuals are unique, therefore the kind of support given to them could also be tailored depending on who is providing the service, whether it's an organization, whether it's a school, whether it's other initiatives. At least that's, yeah. And I think if we think of it as there's a foundation plus the ad hoc add-on, and then we can think of it also being a variety of strategies. That's what I heard from Tony as well. Not a one-size-fit-all. Right. How about Simon? I'm curious to know, right? You have done a degree in positive psychology, just like myself. And I'm curious to know what are some of the well-being strategies that you're helping to teach people to be mentally well, as you mentioned earlier.
I will pick up that question, but I want to give a comment to the earlier question, right? Now I can see, whether it's adequate or not is very subjective to the time and to the person involved.
Right.
But what I find it amazing in our Singapore ecosystem is there's always the ability to grow and the ability to innovate with changing times. So I think I've never seen, I'm in the realm of more on the mental well-being, right? So before the pandemic, there were very little focus on mental well-being. But after the pandemic, like along with the pandemic, when we talk about mental health condition, there were also a drive in building mental well-being. And I thought all these were made possible really because we have a very a very open-minded a landscape and the government where we are very open to new ideas and to see what is most suitable for the times. And we evolve along with the time. So I think that I see it as more important than the question on whether it's adequate or not. I think the openness to new perspective, I think that is more important. And we do have a very good landscape that is very open to new perspective, either from the community partners or from the government, right? We do want to listen and to see how we could improve. Yeah. So that's my question, my take on that. And regarding interventions, right? We heard kindness. So if there's really one quick intervention that people want to do and to feel happier, right? Just go and do some kind things for someone. It could be random, it could be deliberate act of kindness, it could be small, it could be big. Anyone can do it, holding a door for someone, saying something nice to someone. In the place that I'm in, right, it's common to give people tips. Maybe tip someone just a bit higher or be more conscious of the effort that people put in to make all the things happen. I think all these little acts of kindness would make us happier.
Right.
That's a quick one. Thanks.
Nice. Yes, and in the research, actually, acts of kindness has been also supportive, not just for the receiver, but also the giver. Not to say that we should do it just so that we can feel good, but of course, we think about the other person and their needs, and an act of kindness can always go a long way and provide the ripple effect, right? Yeah, so thank you so much to the panelists. I'm hearing like open-minded is the feeling that we're having about our landscape. A lot of innovation has happened, especially since the pandemic. But I'm also curious to ask, because all three of you have been doing this work for quite a while. What have been some shifts since the time that you started till now in terms of the perception of mental health or support or people responding to them? What has been some shifts in that perception?
I think if I could go first.
Sure.
Also because I was about to respond to Ivy's chat on the question. I think most of us are familiar with PFA or psychological first aid, and then the three acronyms that comes along it, which is to listen, to look, listen, and link. I think, and these are I would think very straightforward acronyms and very straightforward strategies that are used and children could learn. So the shifts, if I based on what William and Ivy is trying to ask, is that the younger people have now probably equipped with some of the basic techniques to look out for their own friends. Previously, probably in the last decade, it was really like, oh, not feeling well, see somebody, a professional, see an adult. But right now, we are equipping the community with such skills so that the community, the peers, their own friends are in a better position to check in with them, to do the emotional support, and then to probably bring them to an adult. May not be a clinician. It could be just another adult where they can listen. A lot of times, I think when that listening is being done, there's a validation of that space and that being most times de-escalated. I was about to type the word here, de-taboo, to Ivy's, which is that
taboo,
right? Just destigmatize. I mean, a cooler word for you, right? Porsche and some other way agree. Just de-taboo the mental health word, right? Mental health is like a physical health. You catch a flu, you see a doctor, you probably rest a bit, drink some water, hydrate, get some kindness out, go to outdoors and see whether that helps. So if we de-taboo the word of mental health, it's not being crazy. It's probably not well. Things happen, we get affected, and it's fine. And people, even adults does that, even doctors does that. Recently, I put a post on my Facebook, pardon my Facebook, I don't know Instagram, on my Facebook. I says that I, I was sharing that it does not matter whether you're a clinician, a doctor, or a commoner who has other vocations. Your health will get affected, right? And importantly, right, is who's around you that could help me look out for myself. If the younger folks, the younger children, who's around you that you can share something with, so that you can feel a lot safer to share that with, and therefore have this other friend bring somebody if you need to talk about what can we then protect ourselves around this particular issue. So I think that's my take on the part of the question. Yeah.
Thank you. Portia, anything to add to that?
I love Tony's comment on that. It's about normalizing it, right? So the thing is, like, when Tony was talking about it, there's something in my mind all this while. I've been observing the COVID, when, if you could recall earlier on in 2020, when the pandemic first started, what happened? Those people with COVID were highly stigmatized. I won't be taking a cab. Cab driver wouldn't dare to drive near to Tan Tock Seng to pick up the nurses or whatever, if you could recall. And then wherever somebody tested positive, right, then they are seen dragging their luggage to somewhere else, right, to be quarantined. Everybody starts snapping pictures and shame them on social media. So look
Yes.
at the whole process until now. Right now, what is happening? Hey, I'm tested positive nowadays. It's okay. Have a good rest. Something like that. How could we normalize it? Of course, there are some people who say, how could you make comparison, between this COVID and mental health issue? But having said that, how can we normalize it so that, hey, I'm having a depression. So, okay, take good care. We are here for you. So it'd be nice if we liken it, to the way we address COVID or some other issue. Thank you.
Yes. And I still remember that maybe a year on after those images, when you told somebody that you had COVID, they'll be like, meh. So I think maybe it also speaks to the fact that people take time to adapt to situations that change. And in fact, a lot of the adapting and fear comes from the uncertainty of not knowing what will happen should that. And I guess that's also linked to why mental health is stigmatized in the first place, is because there's a lot of unknown
Yep.
factors, unknown presentations of behavior that people are not familiar with. Right. So I suppose, number one, it takes time, but also, as you said, kindness goes a long way, and refrain from judgment, and perhaps just be there to support. And meanwhile, tap on all the community resources that are available. Yeah, so I think we have about 5 to 7 minutes left. So maybe what I'll do is check through and see if there are some questions that we can answer. I think as we've been going along, we've actually answered quite a number of them. In terms of normalizing, that's just been covered, in terms of like community and the stigma as well. There's one particular question which I guess maybe speaks to me, so maybe I'll put it to the panel. How can the community better support the mental health of mothers, especially working single mothers who may be parenting in isolation, facing financial instability, stretch for time, lack of space for self, and so on? How can we support them? Any thoughts from either of our panelists?
Can I offer a thought to that?
Sure, please.
Yeah, it's not specific to mothers, right? But I see that being played out in the Wellbeing circles that we have been organizing. So we do have people from different walks of life. We have people who could be single mother, and we also have just different walks of life. And because we are not talking about mental health conditions, we are really talking about upskilling people with well-being skill sets so that they could improve their own lives and the people around them, right? We do see that as a form of community support, not specifically targeted at mothers. But I think that having those well-being circles whereby you could reach out to different people at different life stages and different walks of life may
Oops. Sounds like Simon was talking about support and a network, right, of people that they could reach out to.
He was saying also different stages of their life.
Mm.
Oh, he's back. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I quickly finish up my sentence. Yeah, so I think the well-being circles allow the opportunity to reach out to different people and to help them. So not specific to just mothers alone, but I think
Mm.
we could face with different groups of people having like undergoing different life stages.
Right, right. So yeah, I mean, a support network has, in the research, also been a huge contributing factor to resilience, right? Yeah. Any thoughts from Tony or Portia on this question?
I agree. I agree. It's a community landscape that is affecting, that has an impact. So there's an impact on this particular question, and I'm seeing a few of the tenets that could be in place here. One is mental health, that particular domain. How is it being helped? Financial stability. Is it employment, or is it because of a larger number of family members within that particular household? Stretch for time, lack of space. Is it a self care issue? So I would narrate this to my previous response, where demanding a systemic and a few of the community partners to be in helping the group of people. Like what Simon said, it could be parents, it could be older folks, it can be anyone that has this particular uh, position, right? So the community can be better, I think, if there is a certain way of us helping the community in a more collaborative manner, speaking certain lingos, having certain processes where information can be exchanged with little boundaries that is needed. That could be one best hope that I think could happen.
Yeah, so a systemic response and reducing the boundaries, reducing the barriers, right? So that they will feel like I can step forward. It's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people feel that it's not okay, or that when they ask for help, that somehow they are weak, that I can't cope, but everyone around me seems to cope. Is it just me? Yeah, yeah. All right. So we thank you so much, everyone. We have the final 3 minutes, and I think this is a really important question to end off, or rather a round-up question for everyone. If you had a wish list for better mental health in our community, what would it be? And I know a wish list means you can say more than one, but in the interest of time, I'm going to ask for each of our panelists to share one.
Okay, I will share first, Ken, because my Wi-Fi is still working now.
Yes,
I
please.
just hope my wish list is to be able to make well-being skills accessible to everyone. And the well-being skills could be very, very simple skills, like maybe teaching people how to be kinder. That's one. Teaching people how to reframe some of their negative beliefs. Yeah, so making well-being skills accessible to everyone.
Okay, yeah. So making well-being skills, teachable tools, accessible to everyone. All right, thank you, Simon.
My best hope and wish would be that, again, Ivy's question has a lot of thoughts that I was reflecting, because young children is one of the group of people that I'm very passionate about. So if the young children could advise another peer, a toddler telling the another peer toddler, says, hey, look, you are not well, take a break for physical health. That I'm hoping that they can do the same for mental health. Hey, it seems that you're a bit sad, take a break. Right. So whether is it physical mental health, they can have the same kind of response to care for another person. I would think this would be, we will reach a level where the community care of community.
Right, right. And that ties up so nicely what Simon has said, right? If these well-being skills are freely accessible and can reach everyone, then we can also sort of tailor it for the young people, the youngest of people as well, as early as possible, to learn the tools to respond to each other and support each other. Thank you, Tony. Portia.
Yeah, Sharon, I have a whole list of wishes, but due to the limited time, right?
Yes,
Still back
yes.
to the same as what Simon said. Just be kind. Even if you don't think you have the time or you are not a professional, you don't need to be a professional to be kind. So, basic because of the recent event, I urge everyone, please, no, do not, record the behavior of persons with mental health issue and share it, or try not to share it as well. If you come across any negative reports on persons with mental health issue, it's very discouraging, and it won't just affect persons with mental health issue, but the caregivers as well and their family members. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everybody. And on that note, I'd like to bring the panel to a close. We've had a rich discussion about tackling mental health at the community level. And I think the sense that I'm getting is that we have an open landscape. We have quite a bit of support. Of course, we all have wishes and wish lists. But at the end of the day, it comes back to something fundamental: kindness. If every one of us can be kind, we are getting started and towards the right direction. So thank you so much to Portia, to Tony, to Simon for your valuable inputs, and to everybody for asking good questions, which really stretched our panelists as well. Yes, so thanks everyone. Please enjoy the rest of your day. I think I'll hand it back to Linda.
Thank you. Take care, people.